Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Oyindi Fulupredani Ma Shapa, Wanayana Wamuvenda. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, a veteran in this channel, welcome back for yet another exciting episode of Risk Money and Insurance. And so today, guys, as you can see, I am not alone. I have this beautiful guest with me today, and I'll just give you guys his bio, right? And just to put the files out there, you are looking at excellence, a black excellence right here next to me, and I am sure that this is going to be a very interesting and impactful conversation. So before I blab, as you know, I love talking. I might take this forever. Before I blab, let me read you his bio. So, sitting next to me is Sidwell Tabiso Mota. We normally just call him Mota. And Mota is a young Christian man who is passionate about all things young professionals and development of young professionals as they find their feet in their different industries. He's a firm believer in that with the right tool sets, career growth, earning potential, and personal brand valuation are things that are within our control. Okay, you will elaborate on that. He also lives by the mantra of being a student of the industry in which you occupy. Mota is stimulated by all things politics, economics, technology, Christian, and leadership. He graduated in mining engineering and not just any university, but our competitor from Brits, and he works in the technology space as a product manager. So Mota, welcome to the channel.
Thank you for having me, Fulu. I'm honored to be here.
No, it's good to have you. And I feel like, guys, this conversation has been long coming. I feel it is an important conversation to have. And so today we are talking salary negotiation, because this is a make or break conversation, I believe.
It is, Fulu, you're right. And before we begin, I just like to say I love the work that you do here in this channel. I think it's quite impactful work.
Yes.
And I think it differentiates those who get it quicker than others. So yeah. And back to the salary conversation, it is. When you start low, and in a salary point of view, even your growth is compounding from that small place.
Yes.
You're a bit of a maths geek than me.
Yeah.
So if we're speaking 30%, let's say, increases with every move that you make, and I started from R1 and you started from R2, already the impact overall is quite big. So it's an important conversation. That's why it's important that we get it right early in our careers.
Yes.
Because everything that we grow from then on compounds from that.
Yeah, no, that is definitely true. And let's just start now with being, at university.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in final year, we were busy doing, interviews, and you're now deciding, actually, I know nothing about salaries.
Yeah.
I have zero experience.
Yeah.
So as a grad, do you believe that there's room for me to now negotiate a salary? Is there room for salary negotiation for grads?
Yeah, that's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
Because you're coming right out of varsity and you're a taker at that point in time. You don't have the right muscle to detect what you're going to get out of the industry. But I think there are a few things that we need to take note of. Most of us go into graduate programs when we come out of varsity.
Yes.
And because they are group programs where a company is taking 20 or whatever the case is, it's often tough to negotiate that thing is. But what you can do is that within your first year, you can begin to differentiate yourself, preparing to have the first conversation around negotiation outside of the group. So what you can do there is to make sure that you break out faster out of the group negotiated salary.
Yes.
That's the first thing. The second thing is, I think it's good to know what is the norm in the industry that you're going in for someone that has your type of qualification.
Yes.
Because that can help you to assess whether this is a good offer or not. And it can also motivate you to keep looking if the offer is too low for that industry with someone with a degree. So having people who are peer mentors who have just gone into industry can be helpful. That data is still failing you. It can be helpful to you.
No, definitely. And I relate to having mentors because when it comes to which company do you go to and how much should you actually be accepting as a salary, those people who are ahead are the ones that have an idea of, this is typically how much you should be earning.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think that opens room then for negotiation, right? If you know that there are guys who just went into this company maybe in the year or two and they went in at X amount, but they're giving you X minus Y, then you know that no, X is the standard and it's possible. Then you can have a conversation around that.
Yeah, no,
I mean, we have a mantra around negotiation to say the worst thing that can happen is that they can say no.
Yeah. And honestly, that's the worst.
And the best case scenario is that you can get what you're asking for.
Yes.
So shoot your shot.
Oh, shoot your shots.
That's it.
Hi, shoot your shots. Okay, no, that is really, really insightful. Thank you so much for that. And now I think the main focus in this conversation, the people that I really, really want to speak to are the people in the corporate trenches.
Correct.
Those who are already there, you are perhaps done with a graduate program.
Correct.
And you now maybe in your second year or your third year of work.
Yeah.
And you just feel like what you're getting is not enough.
Yeah.
How do I then, start this conversation with my manager? Like, when you go to war, you need to be fully armed for the war.
Yeah.
So how do I then arm myself fully to go say to my manager, listen, I want more money?
I'm yet to meet a person who says, Fulu, I'm earning enough. Right?
Okay. Fair enough.
But with that being said, again, when we speak about you being an industry of a student of the industry, we're speaking to the issue of knowing very well what are the market benchmarks of your industry. That is quite important because it tells you whether are you below the benchmark, are you above the benchmark, are you on the benchmark, are you on the 50% percentile, whatever the case is.
75 percentile.
75 percentile, right? Which if you're in the 75 percentile, it's harder to push it further, right? Because you're already benchmarked higher than the average person who's doing your type of work in your industry. However, with that being said, I think let's set a context from which you can work from when you're going to negotiate with your manager. I think the first thing is that the fact that you think you deserve a salary is not enough to go to your manager and say, give me an increase, right?
I deserve it.
You deserve it. And you might as well be deserving of it fully. But if you fail to communicate effectively the why you deserve the salary, then even though you do deserve it, you might not get it, right?
Okay, yes.
So what's the first thing? The first thing is you need to be in a position where you can quantify the value that you do of the work that you do. That can be either in terms of the revenue that is brought through by the work that you're doing. That's one way to quantify, right? Yes. The contribution to the strategic direction of the business unit or the BU, right? If there is some sort of maybe growth that has come from the work that you're doing, or there is some sort of maybe revenue loss prevention exercise that you have put in place because of the work that you're doing. Those are some of the things that help you to quantify the value of what you do. And that becomes the point from which you start from to say, in this financial year, I've done 1, 2, 3, and these are the outcomes or the measurable outcomes of what I've done. And on that basis, I think it's a good conversation for a raise, right?
Yes.
Now, raises are different for you, right?
Yes.
And most of the time when we speak about a raise, we don't speak about the first two that I will mention, which is you have your inflationary raise, right?
5%.
5%, 6%. That one you're most always guaranteed to have, right?
Yeah.
But it's not the one that we really on this table.
That one doesn't take me from one tax bracket to the other.
Correct, right?
So I need to be on another tax bracket.
Right. So industry plus that type of value. So you're saying this is the value that I add in this business unit, in this company, and that's a good starting point to start having that value conversation. Yes. What you're helping your manager with, you're helping him with justifying even to his manager or to his remuneration committee why he thinks you deserve a raise.
Okay.
It makes it easier when you can quantify it like that. So be able to quantify value.
That is hard though. That is really hard. For most grads, I say that because for most grads, you get into a company, and normally in your first year of work, the work that you're doing is more or less on the support side of things.
Correct.
and you're not really owning something, so you always, supporting.
Correct.
So how do I then add value in my role as a supporting employee or as a grad who's
if
not really
you are
fully
supporting grade, and I love this because this is where we even see people beginning to differentiate themselves
Yes.
and building a particular craft in a certain area. Excellence even in your support, right?
Yes.
I can give 2 grads Fulu a task, right?
Yes.
And say, calculate the numbers for me, maybe a sum table, right? Give them an Excel table. One will just do a sum table, give me back the Excel sheet, right?
Yes.
In principle, they have supported
Yeah,
according
they
to what
have.
was required, right?
Yes.
Then there is a Fulu who you will give that table, and they'll begin to give you some analysis of that data that, oh, by the way, out of this revenue data, we are realizing 1, 2, 3, you're adding value.
Okay.
Above and beyond what you have been asked to do.
Yeah, I love that.
Right?
Yes.
Now you're beginning, when you're the person that has asked you to do this task, you have certainly given them insights on how they can work with this data that you've worked on.
Yes.
And yes, you don't own the pillar, but when they do great, they remember that it was Fulu.
Yes.
And those are some of the things that you can begin to reference.
Yes.
I helped this business unit to maximize their profits, out of that exercise.
True.
You're not owning it, but you've supported the people that own it well enough to be successful in it, and therefore that's your success that you can claim in those conversations. It's even your success that you can claim when you want to move away from the graduate program and move into roles that are more ownership oriented.
Yes.
That's my take.
I think what I really, really picked up from this is the fact that you cannot expect to get a raise if you're just doing the bare minimum.
Don't do the bare minimum.
You need to go, over and beyond what is expected of you. So that when you have the conversation, now you say, well, I did 1, 2, 3, and it resulted in 1, 2, 3.
Funny enough, although this is not the topic of interest for this conversation, having that culture of excellence, you'll find that it's even easier when you're interviewing externally with other people.
Yes.
Because it's easier to quantify what did you do.
Yes.
One of the most difficult questions, even in interviews, is that, so what did you do in your previous role?
Yes.
They're like, no, I was a support person. No, what did you do? Like on a daily basis, what did you wake up and do?
Yeah.
Those are some of the projects that help you to stand out, even when you speak about what you do to the other potential employer.
Yes.
You become an attractive resource.
Yes, attractive. Everyone wants you and they want to give you money,
That's
you your worth.
That's my thinking.
And we also find that in, these conversations, because this is your manager, right?
Yeah.
You're approaching your manager. Let's say now you have prepared, like I have done 1, 2, 3.
Correct.
It resulted in this and this. I've been like working diligently and it's been excellent, from the start.
Correct.
What are some of the things that, you would say, don't bring this up in a salary negotiation conversation? What are some of the mistakes you actually avoid?
With your manager.
With your manager. So now we haven't even started looking because, I know people look outside.
Correct.
If, they fail to actually get what they want inside. Yeah. So now you're just still with your manager and you're about to have this conversation. What are some of the things that you shouldn't, even bring them up or what you shouldn't use?
Well, this is very biased for you.
Yes.
But let's use you and I as a good example. So we just bought property.
Yes.
Which means if we staying in the same job, there is pressure financially.
Yes.
Right? You might have moved even further from work, right?
Yes.
Those as reasons that my expenses have increased.
Yes.
It's not a business reason why you should get a raise. You
but my expenses have increased. Petrol is expensive.
But as your value increased.
Oh, shucks.
Right. The value that you're adding to the business, as it increased, right?
Yes.
As your contribution to what we're doing here increased.
Okay.
So remember, salary conversation is a business value conversation.
Yes.
Remove emotion out of it, although it's inherent. Remove it and think of it purely as a business motivation. You need to motivate to the business why you deserve this.
Okay.
So the fact that you think you deserve it because
you
have now a bond and there's a rate to pay, maybe not enough reason to speak to your manager about it, right?
Yes.
That's my feel around that.
What about then using, let's say I've checked my salary against the industry benchmark.
Correct.
And let's just say I haven't really done, something over and above what is expected of me.
Yes.
But I do realize that my salary is actually not in line with the market.
Yeah.
So then, do I go for that conversation, or I then have to wait?
Give me numbers. How low is it?
Let's say I'm like 30%.
You're on the 30% of
yeah,
the mark.
Literally
Yeah.
below what everyone else is getting in the industry.
Correct.
But I know I haven't really, I can't say, I headed this project and it resulted in 1, 2, 3, or like this is the value I've created for the business.
Yeah.
But now we're in a place where I know I'm underpaid.
Yeah. Look, Fulu, it's unfortunate that you're underpaid. But in my world, excellence should precede what we think we deserve.
Okay.
I mean, that should be a standard.
Okay.
Right? We should never at any point in my mind be in a position where what we think we deserve becomes the primary conversation before the value that we add conversation.
Okay.
I mean, even we children of God, right?
Yes.
We're serving under Pastor Martin. He emphasizes excellence. We
Excellence,
are about
yes.
excellence.
Yes.
Excellence is the one that creates room for what we do and makes it easy for the conversations that we have.
Yeah.
It speaks for us before we even go to that table, right?
Yes.
However, with that being said, because the reason why I'm emphasizing excellence is that it becomes a precursor and a foundation for you to have this conversation, right? Why do you think you deserve what you think you deserve?
Yes.
Right. Imagine a situation where you have particular KPIs, right, that you are personally measured with, right? And you have achieved 30% of those KPIs.
Yes.
But you're coming to me as the hiring manager and you're saying, I need a raise.
Okay. Yeah. On what basis? Why should I give you a raise?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our meeting might be very short.
Yes.
That's my feeling.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And another thing that people do, right, is people move around a lot. I mean, in my industry, I know that if you are black, female, and you're qualified actuary, you are like a black diamond.
Yes.
And
you are.
Of course, you are a black diamond.
I'm sitting next to a black diamond, guys.
Of course. Black diamond. Hi.
Yes.
But if you are that, one easy way to actually really make a lot of money within a short space of time is to just move around.
Correct.
Like jump from this company to the other, get 40% increases. And by the end of it, you're like literally on top of, the market. So what is your take on that? Yes. Should we move around, hop around companies?
Yeah.
To get those 40% increases? Should we stay? And also, what are the benefits of staying?
Yes.
But also, what are the disadvantages of staying?
Correct.
And what are the advantages of moving? What are the disadvantages of moving around quite a lot?
Look, this is a hot topic, Fulu, amongst career coaches.
Ooh,
and even HR business hiring people themselves, right?
Yes.
It's true that hopping around can shoot up your
definitely.
earning potential. I mean, there's no argument around that, right?
Yes.
Back to the excellence conversation, right?
Yes.
If you as Fulu say, I'm going to spend 2 years, right, in each company, and I'm just going to use that 2 years to grind, such that by the time I move away, because there's two parallel conversations that should be happening, right? There should be growth in terms of who you are becoming as a professional, and obviously the earning potential, right? Now, the danger with hopping around is that you can be growing financially, but in terms of the value that you're adding, right? And the challenge with that is that you might meet someone who's an employer and says, okay, you have 3 years experience, but what have you really done?
Yes.
Right? Therefore, I'm not going to pay you what you're claiming.
Yes.
I'm going to pay you at even what you were earning 2 years back.
Okay.
And you might find yourself in a tough corner there because you don't have a leg to stand on.
Yes.
Except that I am currently earning higher.
Yes.
Which is really not a reason.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's not.
It's not a reason. So I think we should invest time in you are the best in what you do.
Yes.
At least in a particular space, right? And I love that because I see you doing that even in your space, Wenafulu. And that works because by the time you can do both, because you can spend your 2 years intensively, then move to the next company, then you're becoming better both financially and career-wise, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So your worth is not questionable that way.
Yes.
Because we don't want you to find yourself in a position where someone is saying, but wait, why are we paying? Why are we paying you so much?
Yes.
In fact.
Yeah.
That's my
Is
take.
there in it? Yes. Yeah. But okay, on the other hand. Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, is that there is definitely growth, right? Yes. Because the truth of the matter also is that internally there is only so much of a stretch that you can negotiate.
Yes.
Unless if you're really good.
Yeah.
Right?
Then you're telling them I'm leaving.
Then
they can be like, you
right?
can't lose this person.
Right.
Yes.
I personally have a policy that I do not take counter offers.
Okay.
Right?
I've actually heard a lot of people say that.
That's my personal policy, right?
Why?
I will negotiate internally before I look externally.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
We agree, you give me what we're agreeing on, then what you are communicating to me is that you value the work I do and
yes.
you appreciate me, right?
Yes.
When the response of value, of appreciation of value, comes as someone else recognizing my value, maybe you're not being authentic about it, right?
Yes.
And I think I lose respect because you think you can
buy me. Okay, I get that. And also, I feel like
that's a personal thing, though,
yes.
right? That's a personal thing. So
yeah.
If I don't take counter offers.
Yes. Even if it's good, what if it's like 50% higher?
First of all, I don't move for anything less than 35%.
Oh, okay.
Personally.
That's
okay. My personal benchmark.
That's your benchmark.
If I'm going to up and move,
yes.
it needs to be 35 and north of 35.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
So that's a good offer.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because you also need to ring fence greed.
Yes.
In this whole thing, right? There are some employers that will pay you really good.
Yes.
But in terms of responsibility, you would have reduced.
Yes.
So that is always a tension that you need to balance.
Yes.
Right? Because I don't ever want to be in a place where I'm paid really well, but I've stopped growing.
Oh yes.
Because then I'm regressing.
You are.
Yeah.
No,
the way is forward.
Yes.
We are the young executives.
Oh, yes.
That's it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so my other thing is, as you were talking about moving, right? There are. I was reading the book Lean In, Designed for Women and in the world of work. If you haven't read it, you should. It's good. So in those cases, she spoke about something that I really loved.
Okay.
About, we often think about careers as a ladder.
Correct.
Like you need to go up the ladder.
Correct.
And she was saying there was a point in her life where she decided, I'm just going to do a lateral move.
Correct.
Although I'm moving to another company.
Correct.
And people were questioning that.
Uh-huh.
But the lateral move actually had more responsibility.
Correct.
And more growth potential compared to, being stuck in a company and just trying to climb up, the ladder for money and all of that.
I agree with you, and I just made a lateral move.
Okay,
and,
nice.
But that lateral move, I ended up in a better position.
Yes.
Yeah. Both from a responsibility point of view and a financial point of view, right?
Financial point of view.
Although when you look at it from an organizational structure, it's lateral.
Yes, it is. So yeah, I think also that's another point to emphasize.
Correct.
Always, in as much as you're seeking the bag and you actively trying to get the bag, it's also important to just make sure that you remain growing and learning and just harnessing those skills.
Harness them.
Yes.
Harness them.
And you also mentioned the fact that you don't move for, less than 35%.
Correct.
Where are we getting the 35% from? Is it industry standard? And also as a young professional, if I'm thinking of changing companies, should I be aiming for the same? Or is it reasonable to say, well, if they're offering me a 15% increase, I can move from one company to the other?
Look, I think the point here is that the move must be worth the pain.
Okay.
That's the philosophy here. And to say, I can't have moved, and at the end of the month, the sum total and impact of the move in month end is just 2,000 Rand more in
Yes. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So the 35% sort of,
Yeah, you begin to feel the impact.
you feel the tax bracket.
Yeah.
You get into a new tax bracket
Correct.
altogether.
Correct.
Okay.
That's
no.
one way, right?
Yes.
And I think also historic data has proven that it's possible to get, and for some that's a flaw, right?
Yes.
People get 40%, 50%
50%,
increases
yes.
as they move, right?
Yes.
Depending on your craft, your faith, your boldness.
Yes.
Those are
You
all
get
things.
you get what you demand at the end of the
Get
day.
what you demand.
Yes, and not what you ask. Is it
Correct.
what you wait?
What
you get what you
you
demand and
think
not
you
what
deserve.
you. What? You get okay. At the end of the day, guys, you get what you demand.
Correct.
Okay, definitely.
Yep.
So now you've negotiated once. Can I actually negotiate my salary multiple times in 1 year? You think it's reasonable?
I don't think it's reasonable.
We have it in June and then December. I'm like,
No, I'll tell you why I don't think it's reasonable, right?
Yes.
Look, you can still do it.
Yes.
But usually you must work within a financial year.
Okay.
Right? We approve budgets and work with budgets around financial years.
Yes.
Right? So by the time, if you do it 6 months apart within the same financial year,
Yes.
dude, you're being unreasonable.
Okay.
And maybe you're just being greedy.
Yes.
And you must remember that at the end of the day, after your negotiation, you want to still be respected,
Yes.
right? And not just be seen as unreasonable and just greedy,
Yes.
right? It must be justified. It must make business sense.
Yes.
And I think it's worth saying, even at this point, that maybe be patient with yourself too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Elaborate on that.
Growth is organic, okay? And that process is important.
Yes.
Because it's the process of you becoming, and in that process it's making sure that you're growing in a pace that is sustainable even for you to maintain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I love
Right.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
Then the last one, I feel like we've had a lot of wisdom coming out on this table tonight.
Yeah.
The last one
Yeah.
is definitely on how do I make sure that I stay in line, my salary stays in line with the market, right?
Yeah.
Without necessarily jumping around. I feel like with millennials,
Yeah.
when we feel like we're not getting what we want,
Yeah.
the easiest thing to do is to
Jump.
jump
Yeah.
ship. But there is, of course, advantages to staying within a company and growing within that same company. So what would you say one can do to actually still remain in one company? I mean, I admire our parents. Our parents can work for one company or one
Sure.
employer for 40 years.
Correct.
Without moving.
Correct.
But we have patterns. We move around quite a lot. So what can I do to still be in the same business, but be paid decently? Because salaries, they do matter at the end of the day.
So I think two things for you.
Yes.
The first is that the grass is not always greener on the other side.
Yeah, say that again.
So the grass is not always greener on the other side.
Yes.
Sometimes it is green where it's being watered, which is here, right? So that's where the conversation of mentors comes in very handy. That's where the conversation of sponsors comes in very handy. You must have people in tables that you do not have access for, vouching for you where your voice cannot be heard.
Yes.
So issue of mentorship, issue of sponsorship are quite critical in career growth, and they come in handy in times like this, right?
Yes.
Where you're feeling frustrated, you've done the value, you've done the excellence, you then can speak to your sponsor, and the net impact of that conversation could be, okay, Fulu, maybe we cannot give you the raise in this BU, but we can move you to the other BU where we can pay you because it's seen as a different role that
Yes.
you're within the company.
Yes.
That will also help you with even vertical growth. So we spoke about lateral growth,
Yes.
but it also helps you with the vertical growth. People are going to say, I think she's served her time here. Let's open opportunities for her
Yes.
without you being in the room.
I think that's, at the end of the day, that's the goal, right?
Correct.
Having voices in rooms that you cannot get access to.
Correct.
And I think it also ties back to excellence.
Excellent.
Because who's going to vouch for someone who's lazy or someone who's just doing mediocre work?
Correct.
So the importance of excellence.
Excellent.
And I would say you're also a man of excellence Oh, look at
Thank you very
you.
much.
You're also a man of excellence.
Your words are
and
kind.
Thank you so much for pulling through today. And I believe that this was an insightful conversation. And hopefully, when we get out there, we can do better because now we know better and we can have these tough conversations because you need to have it at some point. So thank you so much, Mota, for gracing us with your presence and for sharing your experience. And so guys, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I love you so much. If you enjoyed this conversation, just drop your nuggets of wisdom in the comment section below. We love you guys so much. Mwah. Oh, bye.